Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Armor Cokes?
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the pump. Really? This is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair.
YouTube Live?
Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio. We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. Well, then again, I don't. What is more obnoxious, that Travis Kelce's jersey sales went up 400%, or that the Oakland A's gave a recovering alcoholic a bottle of wine?
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a cool one in his head. Yeah, the armchair.
Yeah, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? Hope you are having a great afternoon as your Atlanta Braves are back in action. Took us a little while, but we are back again, and the Atlanta Braves will be taking on the Chicago Cubs. Doug is on the way. Going to be talking some football. Going to talk some National League wild card. Joey's on the way. He's only going to get one chance, so he wants to talk about how the Colts are in first place. So let him bask in the sun while it still lasts. And you're going to talk a lot about the world of football as well as baseball. As obviously baseball is taking center stage now as it is winding down the final few games of the season. And Atlanta's magic number, if you missed the intro, the magic number for your Atlanta Braves is now 3. So 3 is where we are at, and we are looking forward to hopefully clinching that on this in this series against Chicago. It would be nice to get some help from some Rockies and some Nationals, but you can't really plan on those teams doing a whole hell of a lot. So I'm going to go with Braves need to go out there and win this series. And if they win this series, then they can probably clinch it, because you got to figure you're going to get help a little bit on the other side. If not, we'll clinch it this weekend at home. Now, a lot of things are going on, and one of the main things that everybody's kind of bugging out about is what in the hell are we going to do come playoff time, because the Atlanta Braves obviously are going to be in a world of trouble when you talk about how we're going to set that line up and all that kind of stuff. And look, went over that earlier. Essentially, I still believe, and it's weird, I was listening to a local Atlanta radio station that covers a lot of Braves stuff, and they had their Braves guy on there, and he was talking about the upcoming series, and I won't put his name on blast because I don't know why he doesn't know this, but anyways, that's why you come here, right? The Atlanta Braves are not going to need a fourth pitcher. We have the days off built in. We are not going to need a fourth pitcher in that first round. So it's not really the end of the world that you're not. Now, look, you want Charlie Morton as that third pitcher. Obviously, he's been the best of the bunch. But it's not going to be a deal breaker. Look, if the Braves don't win that first round, you can't put that all on some injury to Charlie Morton. Braves need to go out there and play their game with that offense and that starting pitching that they're going to have with Strider and Fried in a 5-game series. They'll have them for those 5 games. And then that middle game, game 3 in Philadelphia, you just got to try to figure it out. You're going to go into it'll be a version of a bullpen game, but that's essentially what we're going to be looking at with the Braves going forward. As far as tonight's game and the series, wanted to touch on that a little bit because tonight's game, you've got the Cubs coming into town. The Cubs are playing for something. The Cubs are trying to get into the wild card. We're going to get into the NL wild card here in a second. But the Cubs are playing for something. We've got Elder on the mound versus Steele. The biggest thing that I want to see, okay, if you remember, this was a matchup in Chicago earlier in the year. And Steele got the better. Elder was terrible. He was absolutely awful in Chicago. And he was awful his last time out. And though you'll see the 12-4 and 3.63 ERA, and all that sounds great, but he hasn't been consistent, and he's got to keep those walks down. He had 5 walks his last time out, so he's got to keep the free passes to a very minimum. And I think we get the win tonight. And if you look at the series going forward, tomorrow night at 7:20 as well. We're going to have all 3 games, all 4 games. The first 4 games of the week are going to be right here on Braves Country Radio HD. Find us on YouTube today. They're all 7:20 first pitches. They're all at home. 3 are against the Cubs, 1's against the Nationals. The weekend, we're playing that by ear. We got to see how Atlanta stacks up. Are the games important? If not, a lot of folks are going to tune out with all the football on, and then we'll just kind of play that by ear. We also could bring you a game on Sunday that may have something to do with the playoff implications, but really waiting to see what's available. If it's really just seeding, then there's not a whole lot of interest. But if it's a situation where a top-tier team could get knocked out, and there's a lot of possibilities for that, we may bring you that game. The Braves have not. Now, the Cubs are going to send Tyon out tomorrow. Braves should be able to score some runs on Tyon, but Atlanta has not announced a game 2 starter as of yet. They've kind of left it up in the air. Game 3 of the series, it's Stroman, and depending on what they can get from Stroman, I'm not sure he's 100% stretched out yet, but he's at least going to be opening the game for the Cubs. And the Braves, once again, have not quite nailed down a starter. So tonight's game, Steele on the mound. My pick to click, I'm going to have to go with, let's go with Ronald Acuna Jr. Let's go with Ronald Acuna Jr. He needs to get them stolen bases. Can we get a couple of stolen bases tonight and get him to the 40-70 club, and then we can really put him on cruise control the rest of the week? Give me Ronald Acuna Jr., and I'm going to take the Braves. Look, the over-under is actually kind of high tonight for a Braves game, because typically the Atlanta Braves, they keep their over-unders typically around the 8.5, 9 area. It's 9.5 tonight. So Vegas is expecting runs. I'm expecting runs because Steele and Elder both looked terrible their last time out. So let me get the Braves to win this one just over that mark. I'll take Atlanta to win this one 6-4. I'm hoping it's more like an 8-4, 9-4, and you really get rolling. But I'm going to take them 6-4. Look, the Cubs are a good team. They're going to score some runs. The Braves are going to have to match those runs. And there you have that. Atlanta, they go into this series, and it is going to have to be an absolute must that you don't go stumbling in down the stretch at the end of the season. The last thing that you want to do, stumbling into the postseason, losing 2 or 3 to the Cubs, maybe winning the Washington series, but at that point your backups are in. Let's not play that game. I want to see them win the series against Chicago. You can never expect a sweep. It'd be really asinine to expect a sweep considering that we're playing a team that very well could be in the playoffs. And I would like to see them win at least the Friday game and the Saturday game against Washington. The Sunday one, it's probably not going to mean a whole lot, and there's not going to be a lot of pitching out there. I do think you're going to get the batters back quite a bit on Sunday, at least a couple of hours, because we're going to have another week off. We're going to have another week off. If you're going to have another week off, you want to make sure that these guys go into it ready to rock. The last thing that we want is a stale offense going into the beginning of the playoffs. Especially considering where we're at in our pitching, we need to make sure that when we go into the playoffs, and those first 2 games are at home, to whoever it's against, whether it's Philadelphia or someone else upsets them, you need to hold serve. Get your home field advantage. You fought all year for it. Don't lose it. Hold serve. Win those first 2 games. You go back to Philly, then all the pressure's on them, and all you have to do is scratch out one more win. You either win on the road in Philly, or you bring it home with Max Fried or Spencer Strider on the hill in a Game 5. And I will take my chances with that any day. But the Braves have got to hold serve. It's enough of this junk where we're limping in towards the playoffs. They won 3 or 4 in Washington. That's great. But let's face it, Washington's not a very good team. This is a better litmus test. This kind of gets you ready for October. And I feel like this is going to have an October feel tonight because Chicago normally brings a lot of fans out into Atlanta. Not as many as they used to. They used to flood the damn place before they opened up Truist Park. But still, they'll have a lot of fans out there. It's going to have an October feel, and there is a degree of urgency with the Cubs because they have not locked anything up. So it's a very good litmus test for the Braves. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Doug is in the bullpen. We're going to talk that National League wild card and a lot more, including, dude, what is going on in the AFC West? Denver? Did Denver turn into a high school team when we weren't looking? We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country Today.
Well, the season's finally here.
The Armchair Quarterbacks are back. Saturdays, 10 a.m., you'll be tailgating with the Armchair Quarterbacks. Mac McGee, Joey and Tones, and the rest of the Armchair Quarterbacks live, 10 a.m., Saturdays this fall. Talking college football, SEC, ACC, Big Ten, the NFL, fantasy football advice, and our picks against the spread. Right here on Braves Country HD, 99.1 FM, WQEE.
Yeah, the Armchair Quarterback.
That's a joke, boy. You missed it. Went right past you. I say you gotta keep on your toes.
You get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. So much, I'm going to have to speed things up. You can get the Farmers Signal app, and that could get you up to 15% off your auto policy. That's just for using the app and driving like the normal speed limit, hearing, full stop, making lane change, signaling human being you are. Get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. Start with a quote by calling 1-800-FARMERS.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Hey Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves and bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Dread running to the post office? Stamps.com brings post office and UPS services right to your computer. Send letters, ship packages, and get up to 40% off USPS and up to 62% off UPS rates. Nearly 1 million small businesses use Stamps.com to save time and money. It's a no-brainer. So skip the post office and visit Stamps.com.
Sit sharp.
I'm not playing your stupid game.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You're listening to WQEE in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves country. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. Welcome back! How goes it, Mr. Doug? How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, but as far as my back's against the wall this week, this whole 5 games left, and our backs are against the wall.
Well, when you don't take care of the Pirates, you kind of do it to yourself, don't you?
Yeah, but I could say the same thing for the Cubs. Couldn't do it either. Pirates have been playing spoiler against everybody.
It would be a different situation if some team got scalding hot and that's what knocked you out. But when you play bad baseball, I don't think anybody that gets left out this year in the National League wild card, they've done it to themselves. The only team that's played what I would consider good baseball down the stretch is the Phillies. They've been solid,
right?
You know, which is why they've got such a big lead, and they're going to host a first round series. And I really think there became a point where the Philly front office probably looked at it as, you know, let's not burn ourselves out like the Braves did trying to catch someone like the Mets last year. Let's just make sure that we get the first round at home. We take care of that, then we'll take our chances going forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's man, I really wanted to see Ellie De La Cruz and that young team in the playoffs, but it's getting increasingly difficult.
Well, they got 5 games left. They have to win all 5.
Yeah, I would say 4-1 is the worst you could go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I mean, you got Philly. What Philly? If they win tonight, I mean, they officially clinched their playoff berth tonight. So
Philly's in. They're 5 games up.
They're in.
There's 5 games up.
In.
Most teams have 6 games left. Their magic number is 1. They would have to lose, but they wouldn't just have to lose. 3 teams would have to get scalding hot, right?
Yeah.
So it's over. Philly's going to win. Philly's also going to host. They have 69 losses. Arizona and Chicago both have 74. And Cincinnati, well, I'll put it this way. Cincinnati can't catch Philly.
Oh, God, no.
So mark that off. I'm talking about mathematically.
Yeah.
Miami could technically catch them, although I don't know who has the wild card there. I mean, the tiebreaker. But they're not going to catch them. So the only 2 teams that could conceivably catch Philadelphia to have the top seed in the wild card round, or the top wild card seed, Arizona and Chicago. But that's not happening. I mean, Philly's going to lose 6 in a row. Arizona's going to win 6 in a row. Hell, Arizona is at home against the Astros this weekend. And the Astros are still fighting for something. So what we're looking at here, your best bet to make the playoffs, along with probably winning all your games left. You only have 5, like you said. It's 2 in Cleveland, correct?
And 3 in St. Louis.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So you're Tuesday night, Wednesday night in Cleveland, and I'm sorry, but you've got to start managing these like Game 7 of the World Series. Meaning, damn it all to hell, just throw your entire bullpen at every game.
That's what we've been doing that pretty much all season. Early on in the season we had success with our bullpen. Now that bullpen is just garbage. It's worn out, and that's one reason we've been dropping games. Our starters are gone. We've been leaning on our bullpen. Any starters we have, they only can pitch they can't pitch a complete game. You can't get them through to the sixth inning. So we lean on our bullpen, and our bullpen is just, that's the problem. They're worn out.
You got Hunter Green going against Giolito tonight. Hunter Green's got to come through with the big start. He's got to have a quality start. They should be able to put runs on Giolito.
Yeah.
And Cleveland's done, so there's no excuse there, right?
Exactly. Unless Jonathan India wants to go ahead and commit 2 errors in the sixth inning and have Cleveland nitpick us against, like we did against Minnesota and the Pirates. Now, everybody's got to play, because even our starters, people like India.
Listen
and
to this
others
one, Doug. Listen to this matchup. If you're a Reds fan hoping for help, the Diamondbacks are in Chicago tonight.
Yeah.
Zach Davies is going on the hill for Arizona, which is a plus because he's 2-5 with a 6.81 ERA. Okay, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Jose Urena is on the other side. God, I remember when he was pretty good, man. It's only been a few years. He was the guy that was always hitting Acuna back when he played for Miami.
Yeah.
So it couldn't happen to a better guy for his career to actually absolutely fall off the planet. I'm fine with it. He's 0-6 with a 7.27 ERA.
Yep.
Yeesh.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking across, okay, and so the only other teams that you're really worried about, if you're from the Reds' perspective, you're looking at the Cubs. Justin Steele's on the mound tonight. He looked terrible the other night in Chicago. He gave up, was it 6? I think it was 6 runs in 8 hits in 3 innings against the Pirates, if memory serves me correct.
Yep.
And then he's going up against Elder in Atlanta. So normally you would think, okay, that's pretty good. But Elder was awful last time he went out. He had 5 walks he gave up. And Steele got the better of Elder in Chicago earlier this year. So now that was a weird outing for Elder, but it really started the unraveling of him not being able to find the strike zone. And I just honestly think the guy's at this point is in the season where he's a young guy and he's not used to this. I think I don't want to call it dead arm necessarily, but I do think the wear and tear is starting to work on him. And then the other team, I guess, that you're looking at the Marlins, Braxton Garrett on the hill versus the Mets. It looks like the Mets possibly like a bullpen game is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so you got to, I know it's coach speak and it sounds like a cliche, but you got to take it one day at a time. So the key tonight is to get that damn win, but I'm just saying that they can't look at it as, well, you got to take it to the level of we're about to be eliminated. We're down 0-3 in a series kind of mentality, right? In other words, the first sign of trouble, go get that pitcher, whoever it is, whether it's Hunter Green or if it's a guy in the bullpen later on. Because there's no tomorrow, because if you lose tonight, there's a very, 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 very good chance it's over.
Yep.
And then, of course, you're hoping for help. The one thing I will tell you this, as bad as they are, the New York Mets have owned the Marlins in New York. Whatever the hell the deal is, even when New York's not been that great, the Mets have owned them. So, and I do believe that Showalter's probably getting fired, but he probably doesn't think he's getting fired, so he's coaching for his job right now. I mean, when I see on Saturday morning we're talking about this, are the Reds still in it?
I say yeah. I say yes, they will. When I see Saturday, they'll still be in it. It'll come down to playing the Cardinals.
It's in St. Louis, and you know that's never an easy. I would assume that Green's going to go on short rest, and I mean not short rest, but they're going to skip someone in the rotation. In other words, if they're still in it, Hunter Green will go today, and he'll go Sunday.
Yes.
Outside of that, looking at these baseball playoffs, if you were to get in, you're most likely going to grab that last seed and you're going to face Milwaukee. How do you feel that you match up against Milwaukee?
I hate to say, but terrible. I've said the Brewers live rent-free in the Reds. Whether the Reds are playing well or bad, the Brewers are that bugaboo, witchy team that we just seem not to be able to get past. I mean, we came out of the All-Star. We had to play them 9 times coming out of the All-Star, and we could only manage one win against them. We can play everybody else in baseball well, but we cannot, no matter what's going on. I hate to say it, but I wish we were a higher seed. I'd rather play the Phillies.
You'd rather play the Phillies?
You have to. I say that just because how bad we play against the Brewers, no matter whether we're playing well or not. They're just kryptonite for our team. That's why I say that.
Hey, you know the Reds better than I do. That's fair, but I can't believe you'd say that you'd rather, because to me, just to a man, I would much rather play the Brewers, considering their lack of offense, than the Philadelphia Phillies.
I completely understand that, and to any outsider looking at it, I would agree with you. But it's just how bad, no matter what we play against the Brewers.
Is what you're saying. That they're that one team that you can't beat. All right, fair enough.
Exactly.
I can't wait for this to all find the dust to settle.
I know.
And I know you may not feel that way, because if you're left out, then your season's over, right? But come on over to Braves country, Doug. We can always use an extra body during the postseason, right?
Hey, that's always the script. When the Reds fail, let's go down to Atlanta. No problems there.
What I'm excited about is I can't wait to see who the matchups are on both sides. I mean, this is going to be a fun postseason.
Yeah, it is.
If you just look at it and say, okay, the season ended today, and obviously there's a lot to take care of, but let's say the season ended today, these would be your wild card round matchups. Arizona would be at Philadelphia. Man, I really hope the Cubs. I hate saying this because the Cubs are playing the Braves next 3 games, so it's hard for me to even pull for the Cubs, but somehow I want Arizona to fall flat on their face. I want the Cubs to get in there, go up against the Phillies, because I think that would be a fun series. A lot of media attention on that. Chicago, Philadelphia, just the whole 9 yards. That would be a fun series. If you could get, although I've heard Philly fans, you know who they say the one team they don't want to face? And it's kind of like what you're talking about, team living rent-free in your head. They say the Marlins give them a pain, or just a pain. It's hard for me to believe that just because the Braves own the Marlins, right?
Yeah.
We got swept down in Miami a couple weeks ago, but that was literally a hangover. They had just clinched the division, and everybody was still, woohoo! Yosemite Sam in the streets, shooting off fireworks and everything. But let's say you get it starts today, Arizona versus Philly. That's still a fun series because the offensive output that Arizona can put out, and you just never know. Arizona's one of those young teams. They don't know they don't belong, right? They're like, hey, let's go. It would be fun to watch Patrick Corbin and company score some runs and put a scare into Philadelphia. If that were to happen, Chicago Cubs against the Brewers, and you talk about an old school rivalry, right? Or I guess it's a newer, but it's geographically, it's a great rivalry.
Yes.
It was really dumb that for years the Brewers weren't in the Cubs division, but and then you go to the American League. What a mess this hot potato is. It's like nobody wants the West. But right now it looks like Tampa Bay is going to host the Toronto Blue Jays. And I want that. I am pulling for that more than anything else because that would be a fun series. The offense in that series, holy crap. I mean, that would just be a fun series. And Toronto, look, you don't want to face Toronto in a 3-game series. As good as Tampa Bay's been, Toronto's starting to play really good baseball. They've won 7 of their last 10. Yep. Toronto versus Tampa Bay would be fun. Tampa Bay could, and we could get this, if Toronto kind of fell down a little bit, it could be Houston in the first round in Tampa Bay. How wild would that be? And I guarantee you Baltimore Orioles fans want that. Because they're like, eliminate one of them bums. Get them out now, right?
Yeah.
And then over in the actual AL West standings, it's crazy, but one of these teams is getting eliminated. Texas has gotten scalding hot. They have once. I mean, they are literally spotting dimes and eating onions. I use that term a lot. It's the old Costanza line. I don't know what to expect. You're spotting. They are in the middle of a 6-game winning streak. That was just before a 4-game losing streak, which was just before a 5-game winning streak. But Houston and Seattle have lost 7 of the last 10, respectively. And right now, if you look at the West, how the West will be won, it looks like it'll probably be Texas. They are up 3 games in the loss column on Houston and 4 on Seattle.
Yeah.
So it's looking more, and Houston and Seattle are playing each other this week. Now, the one thing that Seattle could do, Seattle could get hot, and Texas. So they lost the first game, but Seattle has a couple more games against Houston. Seattle, they could get hot, win the next 2 games against the Astros, and then Texas, who's at the, and they need some help. They need some help. The terrible Angels, but the Angels are at home against Texas. They need Texas. They need the Angels to win that series.
Oh.
And if they can take 2 or 3, I know it's not looking great.
No,
Seattle wins the next 2. The series ends in Seattle against Texas. I know it's not likely, but when you look at the way it plays out to end the season, the Texas Rangers are in Seattle. Or actually, all you really need, you know what you need if you're Seattle? You need the Angels to win one of the next 2 games. It's a 4-game series in Seattle. So the Mariners at that point, I'm sorry, Mariner fans, you're kind of in the red spot. You almost can't absorb a loss. And if you do, it better be to Houston one of the next 2 days, because you almost need a 4-game sweep of the Rangers.
Yeah, but what are the odds? I personally, I just think the Angels are shut down for business. I think they're just basically a moving target. I don't think they care.
But that's usually the team that's scary, right? That's usually the team, like the Pirates. They're the team you're like, oh, jeez, this team doesn't give a crap. But they know that if they win tonight, it's going to be all over SportsCenter.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm with you as far as the pitching matchups don't look great either.
No.
But you just have to hope against hope if you were a Seattle Mariners fan. Because what's more likely to you? They go out and win. Talking about the Mariners. Is it more likely that the Mariners win the next 2 games against Houston, or that the Angels split with the Rangers?
Ooh, Wow.
Because I really think you need one of those.
Yeah, you do need one of those. Wow.
I'm going to give you the pitching matchups real quick. Before you give me that answer, I'm going to give you the pitching matchups. You ready?
Okay. All right.
Tonight, in Los Angeles, Reed Detmers, who's actually not a bad pitcher, versus Corey Bradford, who's kind of that's almost like a glorified bullpen game.
Mm-hmm.
When Bradford goes out, they expect him to get through the lineup maybe twice. George Kirby's on the bump for the Mariners. Christian Javier, who does pitch well on the road, but he's going for the Astros.
Right.
What a great matchup that is.
That's fantastic.
By the way, for folks who don't have the MLB package, that is a late night game. It will be on TBS, so you will be able to watch that if you want to stay up and watch some baseball. I am watching some baseball tonight. I could be up kind of early, but not as early as I normally do. So I am planning on locking in. Okay, tomorrow. Which also, by the way, for good news for Seattle fans, that means that if there is a meaningful game on Sunday, George Kirby will go for you, which is huge.
Yes.
And it also means that Christian Javier would go for the Astros versus Arizona. All right, tomorrow. Oof, here it goes. Here we go. Here's where it gets sticky, Mariner fans. Framber Valdez versus Miller. It's you got a bunch of puncher's chance. The other side, Dane Dunning, man, he has been up and down. He does have a 3.88 ERA, but he has had some bad outings the last back half of the season. He's going up against Griffin Canning, and Griffin Canning is a sneaky 7-7 with a 4.39 ERA. He's actually manages to pitch. I don't think he's got great stuff, but he manages to pitch well.
Yeah.
So there you have it. So is it more likely Seattle wins the next two, or they split and they get some help from the Angels, and that goes.
After thinking about, I'd almost say that Seattle splits and gets help from the Angels in that one game.
Because I'm looking at it right now, and if you look at the standings the way they are, they're sitting there. You know, that may be out of. Honestly, if you look at this logically, I know things can happen, but if you look at it logically, unless Seattle wins their next 6 games, there's not much of a chance of them winning that division. They almost have to focus on getting that wild card, which means you have to, and if that's the case, you have to treat the next 2 games against Houston as a playoff type situation and figure out Texas as you go. Because Texas, if they win the next 2 games in Los Angeles, that division's all but over. And they may start resting guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, who would have the Texas will get the bye over Minnesota. So Texas is probably trying to push that gas pedal down to make sure that they get these W's. But the point is, when they leave Seattle, Houston, right now they're one loss in front of Seattle. When they leave Seattle tomorrow night, I'm sorry, but Seattle, you've got to win the next 2 games. Because you can't let Houston go to Arizona and only need a win, maybe 2, to knock you out. You're a half game. I guess technically they're a game and a half behind Houston, but that'll get made up on Thursday.
Yeah.
Oof, oof, oof.
I honestly with Seattle,
I've been pulling for Seattle, but I'm sorry that glass slipper might be turning into a pumpkin.
Yeah, they're not gonna leave Houston they're not going to take both games. They just I just don't see it.
I'm not even sure if that's the right analogy. I just started thinking about that. I was like, wait a minute, what? But anyways, the glass slipper's broken. They're going to have to get wildly hot. They're going to have to. They need to win the next 2 against Houston, and then with them having 4 against Texas, but they're at home, and Houston being at Arizona, who's fighting for their own wild card.
They're almost in this kind of the same position as the Reds is in theirs. They're going to have, like the Reds are going to have to take 4 out of the 5. They're going to have to take 5 out of the last 6 if they don't take the 2 with Houston. They're going to have to probably win out.
Now, here's the funny thing. They've lost 4 in a row. Texas has won 6 in a row. We all know how baseball works, and these teams have played in waves this year. Seattle, if you've got one last charge in you, this is it, man. You could not lose tonight and think that you have a real chance.
Yep.
Because if you lose tonight, I think Houston would load it up, especially with Framber Valdez on the mound tomorrow night.
Yeah.
If they lose tonight, they would be then 2 games in the loss column behind Houston, right? With Framber Valdez on the mound tomorrow, Dusty Baker could treat that as a wild card, 1-game play-in type thing where it's like, dude, if we beat them tonight, it is over. They are not catching us. So this game becomes paramount because if you drop this game, then you literally have to win 5 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. Okay, let's go ahead and switch gears real quick and go into the National Football League. By the way, did you catch any college football this weekend?
Oh, boy, did I ever. I sat there and watched Alabama make a fool out of me with putting my eggs in that one basket. I had egg all over my face by the time I was done watching that game.
Let's get into some football.
Not over yet,
I've got a funny stat for you.
What's that?
Well, I don't know if it's funny. It's funny to me. Do you know Lane Kiffin, in his entire coaching career, is 1 in 19. 1 win, 19 wins. 19 losses, excuse me. Against Power 5 teams that finish in the top 25. That finish.
Ooh, wow.
Now, look, I know he's had been behind the 8 ball coaching where he's coached prior to Ole Miss. But he was at Southern Cal. And what that tells you is, I think I said top 25, top 15. Top 15. He's got 1 win his entire career. That's bad.
That is bad.
I
may have taken some of those eggs out of the basket if I had known that.
What that tells you that some of his bigger wins in his career, we remember them winning games, but when the dust settles at the end of the year, they weren't that great of wins.
Yeah.
That offense looked terrible. And I knew it was going to be a struggle, but I thought Alabama's offense would struggle. So I didn't think they were going to beat Ole Miss, but I really didn't hate your picks, your stupid underdog pick along with the lock, because I thought that game probably would come down to 1 score, and you'd like to have those 7 points in your pocket. But they hit that second half, and they absolutely just bulldozed them.
Yeah. I don't have the words. And then on top of that, too, on a dual screen, later on watching Notre Dame lose in a heartbreaker like that, on top of that. That was a dark, dark Saturday.
Now, that was a great Saturday from my perspective, but
I
loved every minute of it. I was pulling for Notre Dame. Man, that was just an old-fashioned rock fight is what that was. Those are 2 hard-hitting defensive teams.
Yep.
And I was actually shocked that Ohio State was able to go the length of the field at the end, because it had been so difficult for both teams to mount any kind of an offensive push against those two defenses that I thought when Ohio State got the ball at the end, they didn't really go into prevent mode, but there's almost like this human nature that starts giving up yards because you don't want to get burned for the big one.
Yep. And
that's why I've always been a big fan of coaches that when it comes down to those kinds of situations that they still send a blitz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you're going to blitz on every play. Don't get psychotic about it. But I'm talking about just go out there and blitz them. Because if it will throw a quarterback off. I'll tell you what. Heck, I'm rewatching the replay of the FSU Clemson game right now. It's on some station, ESPN.
Now that was fun to watch, though. That was I take that back. That was the one bright spot with Saturday.
I don't know if it was fun to watch, but it was a fun outcome. And
that's what I'm saying. It was the only good part of Saturday.
I had a buddy text me about that game. He's not a Florida State fan. He's actually a Gator fan. And he was asking me about the game because he was stuck at work. And of course, I don't look at my phone. You know that. I don't look at my phone during games.
Right.
But after we won, I went ahead and looked at it. And he said something to the effect of, that had to be fun to watch. And I said, fun? I said, the hell you say? I said, it was exciting, but it wasn't fun. There was nothing fun about that. And, the funny thing about that, and Jody and I are going to talk more about it coming up here in a bit, but Florida State did not play their best game anywhere close to. And they found a way to get through. But I do believe Jordan Travis is injured. He gutted it out, and I give him credit. But he is on RPOs. He is handing the ball off when they're crashing the line, and they're crashing the line because they know he's not going to run it. And at that point, you either have to get rid of the RPO or you got to set him down.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of the RPO is the threat that the quarterback's going to take off. You can't use him as a dummy, as a decoy, if he never runs.
Yeah.
There were plays Saturday where you could see that he had an opportunity to take off and get about 10 to 15 yards because the defense was in coverage. And he was trying to squeeze something off his back foot, fading out of bounds, because he doesn't want to take a hit. And he got popped the week before, and I just don't think he's right. Now, they got a bye week. They'll have a chance to get him healthy, and then they play a couple of games that they probably don't need the RPO in. But they got to get that dude healthy. And what I'm saying is, if you got to, man, set the dude down for the Virginia Tech game. Set him down for the Syracuse game. Let the two backups fight it out and get him healthy for that stretch run. Anyways, real quick, National Football League, because we're going to come up on time here in a second. The AFC West. I mean, what a disaster the Denver Broncos have turned into.
It is bad to see a team just quit. They scored. Denver just sat there and quit.
They did.
And they quit early.
They did. You're right. I mean, it's. I don't even know what. I can't even defend it because it's an absolute disaster.
Yeah, no sense of discipline or anything.
And Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator, I mean, they really need to think about getting rid of him.
Yeah,
because I mean the holes were like this damn wide. I've never seen anything like that in an NFL game.
I was watching one of I always pronounce his name wrong. No surprise. A-Chain or whatever however you pronounce his name. He ran through a line where I didn't even see a Denver defensive player at all. It was like there was nobody on the field. It's like he ran for a touchdown and they ran and got a hot dog. I mean, it was like a
couple of the runs last night with Tampa Bay getting gashed by Swift in Philadelphia. The difference is you kind of expect that from Philadelphia, right? You kind of expect Philadelphia to gash Tampa Bay. You don't expect the Broncos defense, which was one of the top defenses in the league last year, to get gashed like that on the running game from the Miami Dolphins. If you told me that Tua threw for 600 yards and they scored 70, I was like, all right, well, heck, Tyreek Hill must have had himself a day. They were gashing them on the ground.
I mean, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. 2 of them like nobody was on the field. I haven't seen them.
They're done.
I've never seen
and you
it.
talk about the dumpster bowl. How about this weekend? You got Chicago versus Denver. Woo!
I almost give Chicago a chance now.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
I know. I'm being facetious, but
I made some bad decisions and have too many shares of Justin Fields. And I still don't feel like I can start him, so I'm like, whatever, dude. I'll put someone else out there. Real quick on your Raiders. I know that was a tough loss, but how do you feel all in all?
It's time for some change. One thing I'm telling you right now, I want to see the rookie play. What? Garoppolo just throwing ducks and stones all over the place. I don't have words. I haven't seen bad quarterback, especially out of him. That's the worst I've ever seen Garoppolo play for anybody in 5 years. That was just hideous. That was just like I couldn't take too much.
I will trade you right now. You can have either have Ritter long term send Garoppolo to Atlanta, or you can have Tannehill. Either way, I will trade you right now because trust me, my friend, my quarterback situations are much worse than yours.
Oh, look, Raider Nation wants Joyce McClown gone. I mean, there are screams for his head at this point. I mean, people were at the game and we were talking online about it. I missed Derek Carr watching that game. I'm like, you might as well have just kept Derek Carr in there. Why did you go? You did all this just to bring your boy in.
Yeah.
You said, he said last year Derek Carr, the season was bad, because of him. So you brought in Garoppolo. You said he was your guy. And it's worse. It's worse than last year. And the Raiders overall in that game, they made Pittsburgh's offense look good.
You know what they need to do? If they can figure out the numbers, trade Garoppolo to the Jets, start over and fire the entire coaching staff, tank, and go get Williams.
That was the whole that's a rumor mill going around. Not only go tank at Caleb Williams, go get that coach, get his coach too. Bring them both over. Fire
what's your walk off? We got a jam.
Okay.
What's your walk off?
Walk off. Sad moment with the Reds. It was just want to say Joey voted that'll probably be his last home game for the Reds. Thanks for a good career. I don't think he'll be back next year. So.
Oh, and they're not home this weekend. Oh shoot.
And they're not home for any of the last games. So.
I'll have to go back and try to catch some video of that. All right, brother. We'll see you Saturday.
All right. See you then.
We will be back in a flash. Joey's jumping into the bullpen, and we got a lot to talk about. A little time to do it. We'll be back.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Got a full slate of action of Major League Baseball on a Tuesday. No game bigger than tonight. 7:20 Eastern, Atlanta Braves are at home against the Chicago Cubs. Elder versus Justin Steele. Atlanta minus 135 on the money line. The over-under is 9.5. Atlanta Braves' magic number to clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs is down to 3. Dodgers are at the Rockies at 3:10. First part of a doubleheader. They'll play at 3:10 Eastern, and the day-night doubleheader continues at 8:40. That series is in Colorado, a 4-game stint in 3 days. Other games of note around Major League Baseball as the last week of the season winds down. Reds are at the Guardians. Hunter Green versus Lucas Giolito. Reds need to be darn near perfect as they are sitting 3 games out in the loss column for the wild card. Nats are at the Orioles. Gray versus Bradish. Baltimore minus 250 over under 7.5. Yankees are at the Blue Jays. Michael King on the bump versus Kevin Gausman. The Marlins are at the Mets. Garrett versus Lucchesi. Miami minus 130 over under 7.5. Diamondbacks 7:40 Eastern tonight at the Chicago White Sox. Zach Davies versus Urena. Rangers are at the Angels 9:38 Eastern. Bradford versus Detmer. Texas minus 165 on the money line. Over under is 9. And the Astros are at the Mariners. A battle of the AL West supremacy. Christian Javier versus George Kirby. Seattle minus 130 over under 7.5. Swifties went out in full force this week. Taylor Swift's trip to Kansas City to see Travis Kelce play football Sunday didn't just have the internet talking nonstop. After the 12-time Grammy winner's appearance at Arrowhead Stadium, jersey sales for the All-Pro tight end skyrocketed. According to sportswear and fan merchandise company Fanatics, Kelce's jersey was one of the top 5 for the NFL on Sunday. He saw nearly a 400% spike in jersey sales throughout the Fanatics network of sales. Swift's attendance also had a notable impact on television ratings, as Fox's Sports announced Tuesday that the game drew 24.3 million viewers, making it the weekend's most-watched NFL contest. And under intense pressure to address their quarterback situation, the New York Jets will sign veteran free agent Trevor Siemian to the practice squad pending a physical. Siemian, 31 years old, was released by the Bengals in the preseason and joins Zach Wilson and Tim Boyles as the only quarterbacks in the Jets quarterback room. The move comes 2 days after another poor performance by Zach Wilson. Wilson will start Sunday. It's a Sunday night game versus Taylor Swift's Kansas City Chiefs, but Siemian gives them a quarterback with starting experience for down the road. The New York Jets are reeling because Aaron Rodgers went down with an Achilles tear on the 4th play of the season. Wilson came off the bench to help the Jets to an overtime victory versus the Bills, but the offense has generated only 3 touchdowns in nearly 3 full games with him at quarterback. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and youtube.com at Braves Country. Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Welcome back. I I was wondering if you were going to do the chop with me today. Joey is about to get his season chopped down. How are you, sir?
That's exactly what I don't want to happen, of course. But yes, no, this is going to be a really intriguing series. Obviously, I wish the Braves had a little less to play for, and in terms of having, the World Series and the National League completely wrapped up. But hey, Cubs got to go out there and they got to do their business.
If the Giants would have had a pulse, man, because the Giants lost 3 or 4 to the Dodgers this weekend, and if they would have had a pulse, this thing would be all but wrapped up starting tonight, and they wouldn't be as concerned. But the magic number today is 3. Now, Colorado leads the Dodgers 3-0 they're heading to the 4th. So if that score holds, I'm not going to say that they're going to, necessarily go out and not give it their best tonight, but you don't have quite that, because I still contend it's more important to have the best record in the Dodgers over the Dodgers in the National League than to worry about what Baltimore's doing.
Yep.
Because I don't think Baltimore's making it. And I would be willing to bet that the Braves brass is probably going, that pitching's going to get through the gauntlet of the American League. I don't know.
Mm-mm.
I would love to see Baltimore make it. It would be a fun series. Atlanta-Baltimore for the World Series. I just don't think they're going to have the pitching to get through all that.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that notion. I mean, the Dodgers have hung around for what I feel like better part of a decade now when it comes to these playoff runs. Do they win the World Series? Not really. We don't count COVID here. We talk about that enough. So really, but they make that deep run, right? And to get back to it, the Braves and Dodgers have been hooking up a lot lately over the past few years, and I know that too.
And look, Dodger Stadium has got a very real feel to it come October.
Mm-hmm.
You go into Dodger Stadium, it is not easy to go out there and get a W. It's just not. So that's the main thing with, like I said, I also look at it this way. Let's say Baltimore has the best record in baseball and the Braves meet them in the World Series. That's a good problem to have, my friend. That's a good problem to have. I'll worry about that when we get there.
Yeah, I mean, look, at this rate, obviously the Braves with having 100 wins and a few more to probably come down the stretch, just hopefully not in the next couple of days. But, I mean, they're not going to be worried about too many teams. Now, do you have to pick your spots and watch some things? Of course you do. But to me, the Braves are the most complete team in Major League Baseball. And it is close, but I think they're one level above the rest. So as long as they take care of business, I think they should make their way.
All right, let's jump into your 4 at 4. What's crack-a-lackin' in the world of sports, sir?
Well, you know what? Jets signed Trevor Siemian today, and who the heck cares if you ask me? I do not think this move makes the Jets anywhere better. I almost think, Matt, this is a disrespect to a guy like Carson Wentz or a couple other guys where at least they've shown competency before. This does not move the needle for the Jets in any way.
You know, to me, it is the opposite of doing something. All you signed was a warm body to the practice squad. That's really all you did.
Yes.
You didn't go out and get Carson Wentz. You didn't go out. I haven't even heard that Matt Ryan still thinks he can play. He can't. He couldn't play last year, and he literally looks. Have you seen him recently?
He kind of looks weathered down.
He looks like he's about 170 pounds. You don't want that dude out there playing quarterback. But Carson Wentz could have been a thing. Try to figure out the numbers and get a trade going. You have such a good team. Why tank this year? Every other part of your team is fantastic. You just need someone to distribute the ball. Go and get the 0-3 Vikings to trade you Kirk Cousins. He's on a 1-year expiring deal.
Do something better than Trevor.
Anything is better than him. Trevor City. I know, I saw that and I was like, all right. I mean, he had like that one good start in Chicago a decade ago, whenever the hell it was. But it's like, I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
Well, and speaking of that, if we get to the second part here, Aaron Rodgers did say today, after watching football all of last week, that he is not ready to give it up. So he'll be 40 turning December. You'd have to think the Jets for sure would rather have Aaron Rodgers back there than next year, right? Than Zach Wilson.
Oh, yeah. They're already banking on him coming back. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The Kirk Cousins thing is perfect because he's on an expiring deal. So if you make a trade for Kirk Cousins, remember something, Joey. You still have your first-round pick.
Sure.
You still have your first-round pick because you're not going to lose it because Aaron Rodgers had to play 70% or more of the snaps this year. That's not happening.
No.
So you could. Now I'm not saying you give a number 1 pick for Kirk Cousins, but you can give one of your other picks knowing that you still have your first-round pick.
Yeah, because that team's in win-now mode, just not at quarterback.
Exactly. Put Kirk Cousins in there with Garrett Wilson and quit screwing up my fantasy teams.
Oh, makes me sick. I have him in a couple as well.
Oh, and if you got Breece Hall you've given up too, you're like, all right, dude. What the hell?
There's so many injuries, I feel like I can't even keep up.
Breece Hall isn't injured, but Breece Hall is basically worthless because they're jamming the line of scrimmage because they know that Zach Crap Wilson can't throw the ball. I mean, all he does is drift back to pass, panic, and chuck it into the dirt. I like how Rob Saleh, who, by the way, should have been fired yesterday, Rob Saleh standing up there, and he points out the good thing, the good news, that he didn't turn the ball over. But he didn't do anything. All these punts might as well be turnovers.
Listen, I would have fired 3 coaches yesterday. He could have been one of them. The Chargers coach should have been one. The Bears coach could have went down. And you know what, Sean Payton? Finally look in the mirror at yourself instead of throwing your players under the bus. You let up 70 points, and when you do that, that lays on you and everything that stems down to it.
Well, I want to hear him brag about how poorly coached of a team it was last year.
Amen.
Gave up 70. First time in modern NFL, post Super Bowls era, 70 points had not been done.
Unbelievable.
70.
And they even could have went for the record, but McDaniel chose.
They could have easily scored 80.
Exactly.
What's your next one?
Next one, you actually mentioned it in the pre, but I mean, I call it the pre-show, the commercial break. Travis Kelce, we all know him and Taylor Swift had a big weekend. For Bears fans, it was hard to just watch that be the main piece of their day. But his sale jerseys went up 400%. So not only did everything go right behind the scenes in terms of profit for jersey sales, this couple's already off the map.
Oh, everything went behind the scenes good for Travis Kelce. Don't worry about that.
I know that's why I don't have to ask.
Yeah. There were a lot of high fives that had nothing to do with football the other night. What's your number 4?
I figured to put it to baseball. We're in the last week of the regular season, and these wild card races, really the National League, disappointed in Seattle after losing 4 in a row. But, Mac, we look at this National League. Diamondbacks and Cubs are tied for the second spot. Marlins 1 behind that with, like you said earlier, Cincy 2.5. Crucial week.
I think Cincinnati's probably done. I'd like to see them get hot and make it interesting, but they've got 2 in Cleveland and then 3 in St. Louis. And Doug and I were talking about it in hour number 1. The more and more I think about it, I don't know if they can lose and expect to get in the playoffs. Because first of all, I haven't even looked at all the tiebreakers. If we get down to the tiebreakers and who's left. Because there is no, we caught you, we're going to play an extra game on Monday. That is over. They go straight to tiebreakers now. You're either in or you're out.
Sorry, Cincy.
All right, I got one for you. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
Did you hear about the Oakland A's?
I did not.
So Miguel Cabrera.
Oh, Oh my gosh, that cheap bottle of wine they gave a guy who's a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah, Miguel Cabrera goes in, and the Oakland A's give him a $90 bottle of wine, which is much better wine than you and I will ever drink. But for Miguel Cabrera, that's not a high priced bottle of wine, right?
No, it's not.
That's literally like giving someone a 12-pack of Miller Lite, going, well, that's great and all, but I played for 20 years. This is what I get, some booze. And they give it to, and there's no way they knew about it, but my God, you should do your research. They give it to a recovering alcoholic. Supposedly, Miguel Cabrera had a whole thing with AA and the whole 9 yards. I don't know if that's a thing, if that's really true, but that's what I'm hearing.
And I heard the same when the Raw first came out.
So. All in all, I've never seen a team give a guy who's retiring booze. You normally give them something that is something that you'll see things like rocking chairs or a motorcycle, something to say, hey, enjoy your retirement, right?
Oakland gonna Oakland.
I mean, not only do you look cheap because he spent $90.
Like you said, I'd take it, but things are relative here, people.
Yeah.
This is Miguel Cabrera.
So not only do you get him a relatively cheap bottle of booze, but you give it to someone. You give it to Otis. Is what you do. You give it to Otis, and you say, hey, here's some booze. You know what? You don't play baseball anymore after this week. Go ahead and get back on the sauce. It'll be fine. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Oakland gets a thumbs down for that.
I got one for you, and this kind of leads off of what you were just... Zach Wilson. There's two things, Jets related, I got for you. Zach Wilson has got to be benched, and if Zach Wilson is not benched this week, I'm talking about putting Boyle in there behind quarter. I don't care what you do. If they do not bench Zach Wilson, Rob Saleh needs to be fired. He hasn't done a damn thing. And he continues to send him to the post. And I don't care if the general manager's telling you this and that. Man, you've got to win some games. And there's no way you can keep blaming it on that you're going up against a good defense. I thought he had, you know what was crazy is I was catching the tail end of that game. Did you watch any of that game, by the way?
The end of Jets Patriots?
Yeah.
I did not.
He actually drove the field. It was the best, by far, the best series he has had in his entire career. He drove the field to make it, I think it was in a 13-10 game, and you're like, dude, maybe something finally clicked. Immediately the next time they get the ball, he gets sacked in the end zone. Whole thing. Now what's funny is, are we talking about this if Randall Cobb makes that catch? There was a Hail Mary at the end. The ball deflected, and it was right out of his reach. It was one of those things where, because you're waiting for the ball to come down, and you're standing like right there where it's at, and it goes to the left, and your momentum just kind of had you cheating towards the right, and he tried to stick his hand out, but it was just past his fingertips. I was like, oh my God, would that have been wow.
How a narrative can change, but I do want to, I'm not a big Saleh, I don't agree with what he's doing.
He sucks.
A little, but I'm going to put more of this on the GM. Tim Boyle is the backup. That guy, you want to talk about stinks. He's terrible.
I understand that, but Zach Wilson, I've never seen a quarterback play as bad as Zach Wilson has in the National Football League. Over and over and over again. I've seen a bad quarterback go out there and go, whoa, what have we done? Let's get him out of there. Not every. I mean, this guy has got so many starts. What are they doing?
Maybe just have Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook run Wildcat.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the comment by why Jets should run the Wildcat, but that's got a short shelf life.
I'm kidding, obviously, but it's just like there's not many options.
Do you understand the roadkill we're about to watch? They play the Chiefs Sunday night. Bruh. And there's no baseball because every game's played at 3 p.m. Sunday because last day of the season. So I don't know what you're doing Sunday night, but I'm not watching football. That is going to be a disaster. And it's in New York. By the way, yes, Taylor Swift has an apartment or, whatever that she owns in New York. So, yeah, Taylor Swift's going to be up there shaking her pom-poms. And Zach Wilson is going to be shaking his head as he's getting hammered by that Chiefs defense.
Ugh.
What a disaster.
I mean, it's not even really it just makes the most sense. And we were hearing it about a week or two ago. We talked about it in here, but really the Kirk Cousins thing just makes way too much sense. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind the Carson Wentz. In Indy 2 years ago, he did get ran out of town after a year, but he still had 27 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. The Jets would gladly take Carson Wentz over what Zach Wilson has provided statistically. So it's not like there's options out there. And if after this loss this weekend, when they lose by 30 to the Chiefs, they're going to have to make a bigger move than a Trevor Siemian.
But why wait is my point, right?
They should have done it because you're going to have practice start tomorrow. So unless they do something today, I don't know what the heck they're doing.
But why wait? Because whoever you bring in off the street, even if you did it yesterday morning, right? They're not starting this weekend.
No.
You don't have enough time. This isn't the one weird thing that Sean McVay pulled out of a rabbit out of his hat with Baker Mayfield last year, right? That doesn't happen. Yeah. So why wait? Because all you're doing, they don't have a bye week for I think it's week 8. You're going to be 1-7 at that point. It's a damn miracle they beat the Buffalo Bills.
Oh. Yeah, there's no excuse for waiting. There's just not. I can't even try to make up something up.
No. It's over. All right, 420, smoke them if you got them. When we come back, going to give you the Power 5 in the NFL, the top 5 teams in the National Football League. Plus, we're going to talk Braves, Cubs. We're going to talk the college football lines. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country. Keep it locked in here on WQEE.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neal, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Hey, sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey Braves fans, the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel are bringing you Braves Baseball all season long. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I'll be bringing you Braves Baseball play-by-play for the Braves fans out there, for all of Braves Country. So pull up an armchair and join us for Braves Country Baseball, first pitch to last pitch, Tuesday and Friday nights, right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Welcome back to Braves Country. Max McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays 3 to 5 p.m. Drive time on WQEE. Welcome back. You'll notice the name of the channel has changed a bit from Braves Country HD to Braves Country Radio HD. Long story, but we'll explain it as time unfolds. But just going in a different direction with the branding of it. But anyways, Braves Country Radio is how you'll hear us mention it from the going forward. Didn't want to confuse people and take off the HD and then they couldn't find us, right? But anyways, Braves Country Radio. Still kicking on Braves Country today as the pregame show, but do not see lineups. Here we go. The lineups are out.
Yes, sir.
So let me hit the Braves lineups, and then we'll do the Cubs. Actually, we'll get into that in a minute because I do want to get into this NFL. But is there anything odd out of pretty much the same lineup you have seen from the Braves? There is one difference, but it's because the lefty's on the mound with Steele. Pilar gets the start in right field, not Eddie. So honestly, not much of a difference of what they do, but the order's a little different. We'll talk about that in a minute. But all right, we've got the National Football League. Didn't want to do these too early. We're going into week 4. This is when I believe the season starts in the NFL nowadays. You get 3 games in. If you're 0-3, you are freaking the hell out. If you are 1-2, you're like, hey, it's okay. Everything's all right. Like the Bengals, right? The Bengals feel a lot better about themselves now than what they did at halftime of last night.
Oh, yes.
If you're 2-1, you're like good. If you're 3-0, you're dancing. But any way you look at it, nobody's really eliminated. But if you're 0-3, it's really important not to suck BBs this weekend. That's why that Bears-Broncos game might be the worst and the best game of the entire slate. It could be a mix.
I got buddies going. I just feel bad for them.
Okay. You ready for my for the 5 through 1? Because we don't do 1 through 5, we're like 5 through 1, right? A little suspense.
Bring it on.
Number 5 in the land. The Pittsburgh Steelers. They have impressed me the last 2 weeks. I know they didn't look good in week 1. I get that. But they also played the 49ers, and they turned it on in week 2. And Sunday night, I was impressed. That defense is really starting to roll. I still think, now realize, this doesn't mean that this team is necessarily the 5th best team in the NFL in week 18. I'm talking about right now, right here, right now. What you going on right now? All right. But Pittsburgh, I said it preseason. I'm going to stick with it. I do not bet against Mike Tomlin. I just don't, man. The guy knows how to coach, knows how to motivate, and that defense is starting to look good. By the way, how was Vegas?
Oh, it was.
Mum's the word.
We'll have to tell more offline than online, but let me just say it was a thrill.
I bet. In case certain people might be listening, I understand.
Thanks for asking.
Did you win money, lose money?
I lost like $100, honestly, so I feel like that's a win.
Stupid Ohio State.
I'm still I'm the 11th man that forgot to be on the field for the last play.
Jeez.
I had a quite.
What do you do there? I mean, do you go out there and rush them out there and go ahead and get the penalty called?
I mean, my thing is you can't get much closer than you did, right? Like they can move it from the half-yard line to the.
Well, I mean, that's what I was thinking. And it shouldn't be an automatic first down, so that's what I was thinking. I didn't really understand Freeman's explanation of we didn't want to get called for penalty. What the hell does it matter? I'd rather have an 11th dude out there than be short a man, because that is a penalty. You're penalizing your defense. What are you hoping for, a miracle that someone fumbles the ball?
Very disappointing.
Yeah, that's a bad look. I know they lost, but I'm taking all 3 weeks into consideration. Give me the Dallas Cowboys at number 4. I still think they're a good team, and I will tell you this. If you play at Arizona this year, you better watch your P's and Q's, because that team is playing inspired football with Hobbs and company. They look for the first time in a long time. They look like a physical football team, Joey, that is playing inspired football, and I think it's because Kyler Murray's not playing. Because I think he's kind of a schmo that nobody really respects, and everybody's pulling for this Dobbs kid, right?
Well, and I agree with that fully, but I'm going to add on to that and say, these coaches from Philly, Gannon and Steichen now, they have some fire to them both, and I think both young coaches for teams that are supposed to stink have shown some good things. Jonathan Gannon, give him some credit for that too.
They should have won the Giants game, and then they absolutely throttled Dallas. Now, I really think Dallas, a lot of it had to do with they probably were in there sleepwalking, right? But I still think if you take that team on most Sundays, that defense alone is going to keep you in the top 5. All right, number 3. This might ruffle some feathers after I've seen a couple of comments. Philadelphia Eagles are number 3.
Ooh.
So I do not believe, I think they will be, but I do not believe they're one of the top 2 teams in the NFL right now. I know that they dominated Tampa Bay, but let's be honest, Tampa Bay is in a rebuild. That's not – Tampa Bay was 2-0, but who the hell did they beat? Minnesota, who's 0-3? And whatever that train wreck is that used to be called the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's just, those poor bastards in Chicago. It's good for you that you jumped off that train. You're like, I'm out of here. Who's closest? Indianapolis. I'm a Colts fan. Leave me alone.
I thank the big guy every day for that one.
All right, so number 2. This might shock some people. San Francisco 49ers. I think a lot of people would think they would be number 1 in the land. I keep wanting to say country, but number 1 in the land.
What are you hanging out with, Kirk Herbstreit?
I was going to say, I'm not Kirk Herbstreit. Number 1 in the land. They will definitely get to the conference. If they can just get some Power 5 wins, I'll be more fun. So that means the number 1 team. Good God Almighty, you dropped 70 on someone. Give me the Miami Dolphins. They won 2 games on the road already in Los Angeles, right? To start off with the Chargers. They've won 2 games on the road already. That is a huge deal. And they blow. I get it, the Denver stinks. They do. They might be the worst team in football. We'll find out this weekend. Mm-hmm. But 70, and it looked effortless.
Yeah, and what's even more amazing to me is how they constructed this running game. Mike McDaniel, run coordinator for many years of his career, actually was in Denver for a while. But between Mostert and everyone keeps pronouncing the other guy's name one way or another, but they had 300 yards rushing, I think, on the ground. Yes, Tyreek Hill, everyone wants to see his touchdowns, but the way they're running the ball, Miami is scary right now. Now, I will say this. Usually when you see this big of an explosion early, coaches are smart. This thing will get tamed down some. But for right now, this is one of the best offenses in the history of football.
Yeah, now, and see, the caveat to that whole thing is look, this isn't a new topic. Can Tua stay healthy?
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so difficult for everyone to pronounce his name. It's D.A. What's the problem? From my understanding, it's Devon Achane, but I could be wrong. But you can't go wrong with calling him D.A.
Even better. I love it.
All All right, any pushbacks, any team I left off there that you're like, dude, come on, man. Come on, man, the Colts, man.
No, they have a couple winnable games coming up. If I can get through 5, then I'll start talking about Indy. Not quite yet, only with us in our chat, of course. But if I had to put one other team on the map that I'd be like, hey, you know what? I think they could at least be a talking head in this whole thing. I have to keep Buffalo in that conversation. I know they had a week 1 Jets debacle kind of happen, but their last 2 wins and against Washington on the road, they just messed up Washington like nothing else when people started to believe. So I would put Buffalo on that fringe. Other than that, I'm good with it.
There are teams, and we'll start this not too long from now, but there are teams that are going to start fighting for that worst team in football moniker. The bottom feeders.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of think out, what's the cutoff? How many do we put the bottom feeders on? But there are teams, I guess you could just call them, the pretenders. There are teams that have tried to tell their fan base that they are legitimately giving their best effort this year, and they're not. By the way, Colorado leads the Dodgers 3-0. They're heading to the bottom of 5. They're playing a doubleheader today.
Oh.
So, in theory, the Braves could clinch the NL best record tonight. If they beat Chicago and the Rockies sweep the Dodgers, it's over. And then I honestly don't think they're going to put their best foot forward. They're not going to worry about chasing down Baltimore.
So we could win 2 out of 3 after you clinch tonight. Can we call it a deal?
That would be the theory. I really want us to see us win the series. I want us to get this series win because I don't want us stumbling into the playoffs.
Would it be hard for the Braves and Cubs to link up? It's too hard to say with all the wild card stuff going on. But
what are you talking about? Some collusion?
Well, no, just in the
playoffs. We'll let you win tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday. Can we win? Let Bryce Elder go. He'll pitch tonight. We're pushing Steele back to Wednesday. We'll have Tyon pitch tonight. He sucks. We'll let him.
It would be interesting if in a couple of weeks the Cubs and Braves played again, but I think unlikely.
In theory, if we need Arizona to start losing some games, but in theory, it's what I'm pulling for. I want Philadelphia versus Chicago in the playoffs in the first round, the wild card round. If that happens, the winner of that plays Atlanta.
Wow.
I do not.
Ooh, that'd be a tough path. Wow.
I don't want. Well, I'll tell you the biggest reason why I want that. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to see those two fan bases go at it. I don't even know who the best team is the Phillies could play going into that. I like the fact that the Cubs have a lot of veteran leadership, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not in love with their starting pitching, but I love the veteran leadership. At the same token, Phillies starting pitching outside of Zach Wheeler stinks.
Yeah, I'm still disappointed, obviously, that, Stroman it didn't work out with. But, hey, whatever happens, happens.
They've got him listed for Thursday. Is he an opener?
That's what it sounds like because we're working him back slowly. He's had a few bullpen appearances. Now, if he could have a good open/start on Thursday, maybe then it could project higher, but we're not going to see the Stroman that we got for those first couple months, and that's what's most disappointing because, like you said, our pitching depth, Assad, Tyon, we have a lot of arms right now that are not playoff arms.
Do you have any idea what's the most pitches he's thrown since he's come back from the bullpen? In other words, is he just going for an inning, or has he been going multiple innings when he comes back?
No, he's been just basically going like an inning to this point.
So he's basically probably an opener.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know if he can't have certain, because there was a rib cage thing dealing with too. I don't know if it's something he fully can't get fixed till the season's over and he just only has so much left in him or what, but man, he would be so needed because, like I said, there's just too many question marks, and you guys will see after tonight, besides Justin Steele, who set up 12 runs in his past 2 starts, we have nobody else that's very credible. Kyle Hendricks, I do like him, obviously decent veteran, but
it just seems odd that. Okay, if I'm running the Cubs, this is what I do. If I'm going to try to stretch him out a little bit and get him going, I think I wait till the weekend where he's not facing the Atlanta Bats. Because unless the idea is that he's going to pitch Thursday and then pitch again Saturday and Sunday, but it seems odd that if, let's say they're trying to get 2 to 3 innings out of him, I'd rather do it against an offense that may not give a crap, because by the time you get to Friday in Milwaukee, the Brewers have pretty much sewn everything up. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's done. Yeah, that's...
Have they clinched that yet? I didn't even pay attention to them this week. Let me see. Yeah, well, they clinched a playoff spot, but their magic number's 1. They're up 6 games with 6 to play. Yeah, so.
Well, it scares me that it says the Cubs' playoff chance is only at 58.5%. I don't like those odds.
Well, they're going up against. They're looking at. So when you got to realize when they say that, I mean, look at Miami's percentage, 56.2.
True.
They're basically, you know what they're basically saying? They're telling you nothing without telling you anything.
The Diamondbacks.
50-50.
Yeah.
I've got a 50-50 chance of waking up tomorrow morning, so what are we talking about? I have a 50-50 chance of having a stroke sometime in October. I'm sure some of that has to do with the fact that they are at Atlanta and at Milwaukee, but I don't think what's being factored in is that Milwaukee is going to be in snooze mode this weekend. Miami, conversely, who is what are they, 1.5 games behind Chicago at this point?
1.
They're 1. 82. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong team. Okay. Miami is at New York to face the Mets, and then they also face the Pirates this week. Pirates have been playing pretty good baseball.
And at least both series on the road.
Right. The Mets, for whatever weird reason, have owned the Marlins in New York. I mean, I'm talking about for years. It's strange because there have been years where Miami's been pretty good and the Mets are not, and they smoke them. It's strange. Now, obviously, the last couple of years the Mets have been good and the Marlins haven't, but I don't think Miami's going to win that series, I guess is what I'm getting at. And I don't know if they're going to go into Pittsburgh and win that series because Pittsburgh's been playing good baseball, and they're a young team, and they're having fun being spoiler, and they can play spoiler one more time.
Yeah, and, even though Arizona has the best chances, I mean, they have the White Sox next. Never mind, that's over.
Yeah, but the pitching matchups are awful. The one tonight, Zach Davies versus Urena, we're going over this in the first hour. The 2 combined ERAs for tonight is like 13. It's gonna be a slugfest. I'm not saying Arizona won't win, but I'm saying they're not putting their best foot forward tonight. They're going to score some runs to win. But Arizona also finishes the season at home against the Astros.
What an interesting, fun series that will be.
Astros in Arizona to finish it. Astros are still trying to chase down a wild card.
Man, what did Seattle do losing 4 in a row?
I don't know, but if you're a Cubs fan or you're a fan of any team in the National League trying to catch Arizona, you know what you need more than anything else? You need Houston to lose the next 2 nights against Seattle to make it when they go into Arizona on Friday that the Houston Astros need wins. Because you don't want them in there cruising. If they beat Seattle the next 2 nights, it's over.
Ooh, that game's on TBS tonight too. Nice.
It is. It's a late pitch. I'm planning on watching it after the Braves game. I'm excited about that.
After the Cubs game.
After the Braves win, the Cubs loss. We can say it that way, right? The Braves win, the Cubs lost, right?
Fine.
And then the Rockies sweep the Dodgers. We clinch the NL best record. We get schnockered again and play like crap for the next 3 days, and y'all will be able to beat us the next 2 nights because it's evidently every time the Braves clinch something, they play like crap the next 3 days. So, there you go. I'm rewatching that Clemson Florida State game. Did you catch any of that game?
I actually, yes, because I hate how things start so early with that 2 hour or that time change. But yes, I did.
What
watch
time was it out there? Are they 2 hours behind the East Coast or 3?
3.
Okay, it changes depending on what time of year it is. Okay, so they're 3.
Yeah.
So
awful.
that game started at 9?
Yes.
Oof.
I was just getting to bed.
That's the whole reason why when I lived in San Diego, before football season started, I said, check, please. I'm out of here. I got to get the hell out of here. I'm not getting up at freaking 5 a.m. to watch, the kickoff shows. I'm done.
That was a really, not to get too much off, but Florida State, that was massive and
huge
well
win.
Needed. That was huge.
Huge win. They didn't even play their best, and I'm convinced as I continue to rewatch this game, Jordan Travis is injured. And he normally is the king of taking the ball in the RPO. He got rocked in that Boston College game and was all fragile and could barely move for a few plays. He didn't keep the ball one time against Clemson. And there were holes because Clemson knew they were crashing the line because they were like, dude, he's not keeping the ball. And I don't care if you have to keep the ball and then slide real quick. You've got to give them that threat in an RPO. You can't just hand the ball off. At that point, don't go to an RPO. Get your extra tight end and let's go I formation. But, man, it was a massive, massive win.
It was a huge college slate, and we still.
And they've got. If you look at it, they've got the best resume so far.
Well, yeah, because I feel like even like Georgia, it's like I don't even care until they play somebody real. It's getting on my nerves.
Yeah, they're going to Auburn this week, and I still don't think that's going to be. Oh, here's a stat for you. You want a stat?
Give me one.
Auburn about to face the Georgia defensive line. They got sacked 7 times against Texas A&M this weekend. Dude, Hugh Freeze is going to have that quarterback coming home in a body bag. That is going to be a disaster.
Oh, man. Game day, sure glad they got Colorado after the week because we called that all last week with everybody.
I loved every minute of it. Every minute of it.
They said I know they went to midfield, but then I saw today all the crap they were talking too. It's like, my goodness.
Yeah, I saw a video. I mean, you might have seen the same one. One of the Colorado players was digging his foot on the Oregon logo.
Yes, that's exactly. Yep.
I mean, who started that junk, man? Because Colorado's not the first team to do that this year.
No.
But they're doing this. I don't care what the team is. I hate that. It's disgusting. It's the equivalent of spitting in someone's face.
And it gives you zero advantage.
No, exactly. It gives you disadvantage.
Maybe negative.
Yeah, exactly. Gives you disadvantage. Because the first thing I'm doing is I'm going for that dude's foot. First play, I see him out there, I'm going for his foot. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get him and twist it. Now, let me tell you something about this foot on my Oregon logo. Someone give me some barbecue sauce because I done got myself a buffalo wing over here. Give me some barbecue sauce. We're going to eat a buffalo wing.
Where's the ranch?
And you talk about a team that could have scored more. They were absolutely stomping them. I'm assuming that you saw the song. Did you see you had to have, but the pregame speech.
Oh yes, yeah.
They're looking for clicks. We're looking for W's.
That was the perfect line. That was the bam, bam.
Which is ironic because that just got a lot of clicks, and he knew what he was doing when he did it, man. The best guy I ever saw to give pregame speeches, this is back in the day, was Bobby Bowden. And he only did them for like the really big games that he would let them bring the cameras in the locker room. But I'll tell you what, that Oregon pregame speech, that thing is up there. That thing is up there, man. That was a well thought out pregame speech.
Indeed.
What is your lock for the night?
I was tempted to maybe try the Cubs, but I'm not doing that again. I've tried to pick. And I'm not doing it against the best
go ahead and
team.
pick him, man. Everything's turned out fine with that so far.
Not against the best team in baseball. I just refuse to do it. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay Rays. They're minus 115 with Zach Eflin on the mound at the Red Sox, who kind of just had a pretty disappointing season, if we're being honest. So I'll take the Rays minus 115 on the money line.
You know, my biggest concern with betting this week in baseball is I've got to make sure I'm betting on a team that wants to win. That's my biggest concern. Where do you have it in front of you? Well, I guess I can pull it up real quick. Tampa Bay's 2.5 out in the Baltimore. Behind Baltimore, 3 games back. It's almost over. I wonder when Tampa Bay pulls the plug and starts setting their lineup for Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to imagine they'll probably play one more series out.
I would think so. I definitely think you're safe tonight. You know it's tempting tonight. We're talking about a team who's been playing spoiler. The Pirates are in Philly.
Ooh.
Mitch Keller on the mound versus Nola. You know what? I'm taking that game, but you know what I'm taking? Mitch Keller has been below average second half of the season. Aaron Nola sucks. The over-under 7.5. Bang the over, baby. Give me the over. I don't know why it's that low. There must be something that's... Yeah,
like you said, this week's just tricky. Who knows what will pop up that we don't know
All
about.
I know is Aaron Nola stinks. They got him... They got that line, 7.5. Let me tell you something for folks who don't follow it. 7.5 is literally the line that you normally get when, like, Framber Valdez is going up against Blake Snell. This is not that matchup.
No, it's not.
I just put a little hay on that one. I had a good weekend, by the way. Speaking of that, good weekend. I took your boys, and I got the hook before it went down. I had 3.5.
Wow, I didn't get quite so lucky.
How many people were pissed off when they put that 1 second back on to kick the extra point?
Because
remember, at first it was 16-14, and I was like, man, what's Vegas thinking? And I'm like, oh, I know what Vegas is thinking. They made a phone call. They put a second back on that clock.
Believe me, I almost just called it an evening after that one. That one was very hard to take in because your playoff chances, I mean, we run the table. You beat USC and at Duke this weekend, you can still make the playoff, but our chances just got hurt incrementally right there.
I wouldn't say
we don't have that conference championship game, and I feel like everyone just hates the ND reputation now.
But if you beat Duke, you beat
USC.
USC was the big one. And assuming USC has a good season and doesn't stink.
Okay, true.
Duke doesn't have to win the ACC. Duke just has to not be 6-6, right?
Yeah, be
Duke
like
just has to be
9-2.
solid.
Yeah,
I think you've got. I think you have a better chance than what you realize.
Maybe it's just my frustration.
No, I get it, but with the way things have fallen, it wouldn't shock me this year if there's a two-loss team in that thing. So one loss is definitely not. One loss doesn't eliminate you. I'm not saying you control your own destiny, but
Right.
you know how this works, man. We're sitting here in late September. By the middle of November, there's going to be just constant chaos and just absolutely flooding of losses, and you're going to be like, damn, we're doing pretty good. I'm kind of glad we don't have a conference championship.
You're right. Okay.
I'm just
with
putting
you.
it out there, man. What is your walk-off, sir? We're starting to come up on time.
I'm going to point at some coaches here that just made complete fools of themselves. I mean, Staley, who we know in LA, I mean, my goodness, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't care what analytics telling you. That fourth and one he went for on his own side of the field was absolutely a mind-blowing
He got
call.
lucky as hell that the ball got tipped up interception.
Very lucky. And if they would have lost that game, he should have been fired right after it. And then the other coach I'm going to go to real quick, Coach Day at Ohio State. Your press conference, you almost cried making fun of what Lou Holtz says. Who cares what Lou Holtz said? I know your kids are tough, but that was a joke of a thing to say after, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, he's worrying about Lou Holtz? Dude, Lou Holtz hasn't been relevant in 15 years.
Exactly.
I guess he's still on somewhere, but he hasn't been on ESPN in almost a decade.
Yeah, I mean,
thank God. Look, nice guy, like Lou Holtz as a person, but I have to hear that Daffy Duck bastard talk on the Saturday morning football or Saturday afternoon football. That drove me nuts. When
it was him and Mark May, I would change the channel.
Fighting Irish. Shut up!
Enough!
Who hired you?
Oh,
God bless. My walk-off is 7:20 tonight. Braves, Cubs, Elder versus your boy Steele. Should be a fun one. And tomorrow night, Tones is going to join us for a Supercast 7:20 as well. So we'll have fun with that. And may have some news about the show in the very near future, but we'll see how that plays out tomorrow. Have a great one, and those on 99.1 FM, keep it locked in. Get your morning started right, 7 a.m., Rhino Radio Penitentiary. And we'll see you mañana here on Braves Country. Have a great day, y'all.
Goodbye, sweetheart, well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart, goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please. Can I get another cigarette, please?
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.